Ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, on this channel, we dive into the story of Call of Duty a lot, diving into the campaigns, the trailers, various different things in the multiplayer, and break down the story within Call of Duty. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video that was the ending explained of Call of Duty Vanguard, and in that video, I said I was working on a video that was kind of a review of the Call of Duty Vanguard campaign. And I've been putting this together for a while now, and I want to preface this video by saying, I am not a writer. I've never written a book. I've never written a video game, anything along those lines. But what I have done is made a lot of story videos for Call of Duty that have amassed over 50 million views. You guys really like them, and it's pretty much the biggest thing on my channel. So I like to think that I know what people like in Call of Duty campaigns and Call of Duty stories. And when it comes to Call of Duty Vanguard, I think it's one of the most poorly written Call of Duty games in the last, well, ever. And I don't say that lightly, and most of the time I think the writing in Call of Duty games is actually very, very good. So if you're a writer on Call of Duty Vanguard, I'm sorry to tear you apart in this video, but I think it was just really poorly done, and I want to make a video explaining why, and on top of that, how it could have been done better. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. Before we dive into it, I just like to say, Inkslasher merch, if you want to get your hands on it, today is the last day. It is live until midnight. At midnight, it is gone. You cannot get it anymore, so get your hands on it while you still can. First link down below. But as far as the rest of this video, essentially what we're diving into is why I think the writing ruined the Call of Duty Vanguard campaign. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't say that lightly. And when I say the writing ruined it, the main reason I say that is because I actually think the gameplay of the campaign is actually pretty good. I think they did a pretty interesting job having different characters with different perks and kind of giving a reason why, but the writing is where it falls short, and it starts from the very beginning. The first mission of the campaign, you play as Novak, and as far as Novak goes, he's one of the operators on Task Force Vanguard. You at this point are trying to figure out what Project Phoenix is, and upon breaking into a Nazi facility, you end up finding out some information is hidden within one of the submarines. Shortly after this, you are captured, and, well, needless to say, this is what happens to Novak.
Quite a counter.
You give your monsters what you say. Dispose of that. Put the rest in the truck.
Now, when I first played this mission, it was a strong start to the campaign, and I didn't necessarily think this was a bad thing. However, upon playing the rest of the campaign, what I quickly realized is that this simply didn't matter. The main protagonist who you were playing as in this mission, Novak, doesn't have any effect on the campaign whatsoever. The rest of the campaign is told through flashback missions going through the various members of Task Force Vanguard, in which there is no mention of Novak. And because of this, him dying in the very first mission has no change or any outcome on anything that happens with the rest of the story. And one thing that I think Call of Duty does extremely well is killing their main characters. Whenever it happens, it is always super heartfelt and you feel something for that character. However, because you've never played as Novak, there's no backstory for him, you have no emotion for him whatsoever. And this scene just ends up not mattering whatsoever. A good example of how to do this in a great way, I have a whole video on this, is Soap McTavish. Now, I have an entire video dedicated to this with over 2.5 million views. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because it shows how good they did telling this story. Now, this is referring to the first three Modern Warfare games, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. Soap McTavish was an integral character in all of those games, and throughout all three, they were building up his character, and specifically his relationship with Captain Price. So in Modern Warfare 3, when when he ends up falling out of a building and being dragged to safety, it makes a whole lot more difference for the entire story. It changes the mood and anger of Captain Price, and on top of this, you get to see their relationship and how it developed, even with a symbol of the pistol that was passed back and forth between them between Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. It showed the relationship, it showed emotion, and it brought emotion forward in the people playing the game. In other words, his death actually mattered.
Not now, son. Just rest. Get a medic! Come on, stay with me, son. Price. No. Makarov. Nose. Oh, no! So! No! So! You have to go now! Get off me! I'm sorry.
Now that is how you do a death scene. You play as the character, you get to know them, you get to know why they do what they do throughout the game and the relationship with other characters. And then when they die, you actually care. Then we have Call of Duty Vanguard, where in the very first mission, they kill off a character that you never get to know who they were. There's no background on where they came from or why they were a part of Task Force Vanguard, and you know zero about their relationship with any of the other characters. He is barely brought up through the rest of the campaign. The only time he is at the very end when Kingsley says we have to do this for Novak. In other words, his death doesn't matter at all. And this is something that we'll see repeated throughout Call of Duty Vanguard, where things just don't matter and don't affect the story whatsoever. What I mean by this is throughout the rest of the campaign, some of it takes place in Berlin, where you are learning about the Task Force Vanguard characters being captured, interrogated, and when each of them is interrogated, you get a flashback mission to a previous battle that each of them had fought in. One of my favorite characters in the game personality-wise is Lucas Riggs, and while he's being interrogated, you get a flashback mission to when he was fighting in Africa. Now, in this mission, it has nothing to do with the overall story of the campaign. The main story of the campaign is Project Phoenix and how that is establishing the Fourth Reich, and you do see some Project Phoenix logos in his mission. However, other than that, it is just telling the story of how his best friend in war died and how he goes against authority. Yes, it does give the character a little more character, if you will. However, it doesn't explain how he joins Task Force Vanguard, or why he is fighting this, or why he wants to be a part of Task Force Vanguard. Well, guess what? These answers do exist, but not in-game, in the Call of Duty Vanguard comics. The first example we have of this is Arthur Kingsley's comic, where we get to see the story of how he became a part of Task Force Vanguard. Fighting in a battle when Captain Butcher appears, he then talks to him about what Task Force Vanguard is and how he wants to be recruited. Something we never even hear mention of in the Call of Duty Vanguard campaign. Not to mention, Butcher is not in the Vanguard campaign. He's a part of the Warzone cinematics and things along those lines, but not in the campaign, not even a part of the story. And guess what? This is not the only comic. We have Petronova, or Paulina, who has her comic, which explains how she became a part of Vanguard. We have Wade Jackson's comic, who explains it, and we're waiting on two more, who will probably, one of which will be Lucas Riggs, both of which explain how they became a part of Vanguard. And guess what? It goes even further, because there's also an entire comic about Novak. Novak is recruited into Task Force Vanguard and has an entire backstory that we don't get to see. If this comic was a mission within Call of Duty Vanguard, that would have made his death mean a lot more and not just be a nonsensical part of the campaign as a whole. Now, it's not that there's no redeeming qualities of this campaign, because I do think two of the flashback missions do pay a little bit of credence to a couple of the characters. The first of which is Arthur Kingsley. This one minimally, but in a way it shows how Arthur became a better leader, and two, solidified his relationship with his right-hand man, Richard Webb. The reason why this is important is because later on in the campaign, while they're being held captive, Richard Webb is murdered.
Hey guys.
Don't everybody rush over at once. I'm fine.
Isn't this a nice little reunion? You lied to me.
For all we knew, he was dead. So you can fuck off.
Really?
So because we get a little bit of backstory on Richard Webb and Arthur Kingsley, it makes it so this scene has a little bit more emotion to it. And that is one thing that I do like about the flashback scenes. Another example of this is when we see Polina and what happens to her father. Because of this, you can see more of her drive and where her emotions come from when it comes to the Germans as well. So again, a good example of this. But I still don't think they did these well. An example of how to do a flashback mission well is from Modern Warfare 2019. We get a brand new character in this game known as Farah, and with her, she has a whole army fighting behind her, but we don't really understand why. That is until we get her flashback mission and see what is going on in her homeland. Her homeland is being bombed by the Russians, and at the same time, we see her father killed right before our eyes. Not just her father, but her mother dying minutes before that. Because of this, we can see how as a child she was shaped by this war, and because of that had to grow up in war and ended up fighting and leading her way to fight against these Russians. Because of that, you can see her hatred towards Roman Barkov and the other forces, and because of this, you can see why she is fighting in this war and why it is important to her. It's not that it just adds emotion to the game, but it gives context to the entire battle that's being fought throughout all of Modern Warfare. Whereas when we go to Call of Duty Vanguard, these flashback missions, yes, provide a little bit of emotion to each individual character and maybe explain why they are good at certain things, but as far as the overall story with Berlin and Project Phoenix, it doesn't really advance that story. And this brings us to the biggest problem with this campaign, and that is the ending. So by the end of the game, we find out that Project Phoenix is run by Freisinger, and essentially what he is planning is to take over after Hitler is dead. With this, he tries to establish the Fourth Reich, and in doing so, we get a big reveal cutscene for that.
Rommel, Steiner, Hitze. But I promised you, Project Phoenix would succeed. Hitler has paid for his weakness. And now history will remember him as we do. A failure and a coward.
The Red Army is nearly upon us. And Berlin is burning.
But from the ashes shall rise our vision for something greater.
To the Fourth Reich.
So this part I actually thought was an interesting twist. I thought it was a good idea to switch up the real life story of World War II and add a little bit of something extra in there. Also a little bit of twist to the bad guy that we saw at the very beginning and adds a little bit more to his character as well. Except the problem is in the very next mission, this is what happens.
Arthur, he's beside the plane! Almost got him! Incoming!
It's over!
You cannot kill me.
And yet here we are.
So literally in the very next mission, you capture him. And at this point, not all is lost. They bring up the point that you need to keep him alive because of all of the information he has, and that could mean something moving forward throughout the Vanguard story in the various seasons that they implement. And on top of this, with all the information he has, he can give you more, and on top of that, maybe he even escapes. But no matter what you do, no matter what happens in the campaign, this is what ends up happening with Freisinger.
You're not worth it.
just to establish this, at this point, we've had about 80% of the campaign in flashback missions, 90% of which didn't actually affect the overall story of Project Phoenix or our characters being in Berlin. After which you get one mission where the Fourth Reich is established and you need to take it down. After which you immediately do so and has no outstanding implications on the outside universe. In other words, if this story was never told, the campaign never existed, this would be the exact same thing. This story had no impact on the overall Call of Duty universe whatsoever. The only thing that you could argue is with some of these files that they find, it's kind of the origin story for the Zombies universe. Other than that, the story just simply doesn't matter. There's no implications that this story has on any of the Call of Duty universe that actually matters whatsoever. Now, I want to be clear. I don't mind that there's not multiple endings. I don't mind the overall story, but what I do mind is none of it mattering at all. The flashback stories don't matter. The overall Berlin and Project Phoenix story has no impact on me whatsoever. Because of that, I think they did a very poor job with the writing. The other thing I will say, since this is a campaign review, is that normally in a Call of Duty game, there is one mission that stands out. Clean House comes to mind in Modern Warfare, the KGB mission within Black Ops Cold War. In this game, I really don't have any missions that are like, wow, that was really awesome, which I didn't love either. So all in all, I have to say, in the past 10 years or so, this is one of my least favorite campaigns for all of the reasons that we talked about in this video. But as always, this is my opinion. If you disagree, you can let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, it's always appreciated if you hit that like button. And if you like videos like this, you like story videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
Fucking wait.
Our mission was complete, but there be more. Forged in the fires, we were the tip of the spear. We were the Vanguard.